Have you ever wondered why it seems so difficult to not wander through life, but walk through life with purpose and to make decisions that invest in your future and give you benefits at the end of your life? I want to go through Proverbs chapter 5 today. I'm not going to lie to you guys. It is a little bit of a deeper one. I encourage you to read the entire proverb because it gives you a better perspective on what the writer is talking about as a whole. A really cool thing about God's word is that it doesn't always have one meaning. God can chop up 1 or 2 or 3 scriptures in a billion different ways. I'm going to extract a few principles from Proverbs chapter 5 that I want to apply to many different facets of life. Essentially, Proverbs chapter 5 is discussing about a young man keeping himself away from an adulterous woman. The whole proverb is about that, but how can we apply that principle to other areas of life? It comes down to decisions. In verse 7, the writer says, "Now then, my sons, listen to me. Do not turn aside from what I say." I see God as a loving father because that's who he is. And when he gives us these words of wisdom, he's essentially saying, I'm trying to kind of lead you and shepherd you down the right path. And part of the way he does that is helping us make the right choices. Now, clearly, whoever this was being written to, the writer was pretty adamant about this young man staying far away from an adulterous woman. And in verse 3, it says, "For the lips of an adulterous woman drip honey. Her speech is smoother than oil. But in the end, she is bitter as gall, sharp as a double-edged sword." If you're a man watching this can apply to us to be faithful to our wives and to make wise decisions with women. However, how does this apply to everybody? Sometimes the world gives us attractions. Sometimes the world offers us things that they're dripping with honey. They sound like a great plan, A+ plan, smoother than oil. But is it the right choice to make for the end of life? Reinhard Bonnke, one of my favorite preachers, he talked about a time when he was a young boy and he was at a church service and he went forward and he prayed. His prayer was, "Lord, help me to mind today what matters in the end." That's the perspective that the proverb here in chapter 5 is talking about. Keeping the end in mind. How do we want to live in the next 10, 20, 30, 40 years? And when you look back at your life, would you want to say, man, I lived with wisdom. I lived with intention. I didn't wander through life. I lived with purpose. I made the right choices. That can be us, and that will be us when we take heed to his instruction. And in verse 11, I want to end off with this. "At the end of your life you will groan when your flesh and body are spent. You will say, how I hated discipline, how my heart spurned correction. I would not obey my teachers or turn my ears to my instructors." Look, it comes down to decisions at the end of the day. That is what life is. Decisions. The decision you make today to serve Jesus can greatly impact the rest of your life. Or the decision to take what the world has to offer you because it's dripping honey. It's so sweet, man. It's a sweet deal. Or it's smoother than oil. But what does the end of that look like? That's what I want us to consider today. Read Proverbs chapter 5, the whole thing, and get a broader perspective on it. If this video blessed you in any way, go ahead and hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with a friend. And I'll see you tomorrow for Proverbs chapter 6.